Hi there. Today I'd like to talk to you about the Tamiya Scorcher. It's based on the TT02B buggy chassis and I think it's a fantastic off-road car. We've had these for a few years now, and as you can tell by looking at them, we've had a lot of use out of them. As a result, we've learned how to modify them in the most cost-effective way to improve performance. Now you could throw hundreds of pounds at them, but I want to talk to you about what I feel is the best way to spend your money. So as you can see, this one's had a bit of bashing recently in the mud. So I'll just clean it up a little bit and we'll talk to you about the mods we've done. Back in a few seconds.
Yep.
Okay, oh that's better. I haven't got Alf with me today, so bear with me. I'm trying to film this with one hand. I'll do my best. What did we do first then? Okay, number one, when I ordered the kit, I ordered with it, or with both the kits, I ordered the metal bearing replacements for the standard Tamiya bushings. This is an old bushing, you can see there. I don't know if you can see. Try and focus on that. The size of the hole in that's well worn. That's what will happen. So you're best off changing these things out from the outset, I think. And for the price, it's really a no-brainer. Okay, so once you've got those on, anything else you do to hop it up, put a faster motor in, obviously you won't get any problem with the bearings. Okay, I think one of the first things we did was to change out the top suspension mounts, top suspension arms I should say, and the steering arms for the Tamiya turnbuckle set, as they call it. It gives a joint on each end, a ball joint, and an adjustable rod. So you can adjust the camber of your wheels. So if it is negative camber or positive camber, you can adjust that. You can adjust the toe in or toe out with the steering links, and the same on the back for the camber. What I recommend you do is, like on a real road car, is you're best off really setting the front and rear with what's called negative camber. So you want the tops tied in, and you can probably see at the back there, they're tied in quite a little bit. Zoom on that. Okay, what this does, as if you've seen the TT02 video, you'll see I've said the same thing. When the car goes into a turn, it'll lean. As it leans, the wheels will actually, the tyres will square up to the floor and give you more grip. Okay, so tied in like that, and the toe-in on the front, where the wheels are slightly pointed inwards towards each other at the front. What this will do is when you accelerate, being four-wheel drive, the power will pull and it will sort of spread out, and you don't really want toe out. You get less stability in a straight line, so toe them in slightly and that will perform a little bit better on the straights. So that's the turnbuckles. We've got that on Alfie's car over here as well. I've got the turnbuckle set on. Okay, after that, I think the next thing that I did was to upgrade the shocks. The standard shocks aren't bad, they are oil filled, but I wanted something with a little bit more adjustability. So I went with these Hobby King Trackstar shocks. They are, I think, for the money, they're really good. They're pretty much as good as the Tamiya hop-up kit. I think the Tamiya hop-up aluminium set, but they're a fraction of that cost, and they are fully adjustable. As you can see, you can adjust the preload just by turning that, and it's basically infinitely adjustable there, just to get the right amount of ride height or spring tension that you want. And the same on the back. If I turn it round, zoom in there, you can see these are 100mm. I've got quite a lot of preload on there because it does sit low with the standard springs, and I think I've put 800 weight oil in there, which seems to give you a nice amount of damp. You need quite a bit of damping on this because they're quite heavy at the back, so that works really nicely. One word of warning though, if you do go for these Hobby King Trackstars, is they don't come with the top ball joint. You can see one there. I think it's 5.8mm diameter of that, and they fit in the top and bottom mounts there of the shock, and that gives you a bit more flexibility. They do move quite freely, and you need to order those separately. I couldn't get them from Hobby King. I had to source them somewhere else on eBay, I think. They're not expensive, but you know, you don't want your shocks coming up, you think you're going to bolt them on, and there's no ball end. So yeah, remember, you need the ball ends if you buy those. These are the fast track shocks. These are 75mm. They're a bit long, so they give you a little bit more suspension travel, but they do come with the ball ends. You can see there's the movement there, and I think they're good shocks for the price. A little bit cheaper, do a good job. What I did need to do with these though was to change the valving inside the disc that goes up and down in the oil. The holes are very, very small, and you're best off drilling those out slightly to probably about 1mm size holes in there, and that improves the damping. Otherwise it's pretty much rock solid. Otherwise those work quite well. Pleased with those. Okay, so after the shocks, oh yeah, one thing I need to mention on this is this plate on the front. The standard shock mounts really are flexible. They move around quite a lot. So on this one I've put a brace between the two, which stiffens it up quite a lot. That works a treat. But on this one, because you can't get 70 or 75mm shocks, I think these are 68s, they were slightly short, and I'd lost some suspension travel. So what I've done is I've extended the plate past the mounts and then just drilled holes further down, so the shock top sits a bit lower, gives me suspension travel back, also straightens the shock up a little bit, because I think they work better the more upright they are. And also there's 3 holes at the bottom on the lower wishbone, you can see them there, and I've mounted them on the inside the same as this one. Gives you a little bit more suspension travel, so those work rather nicely. That's what that plate's for. Right, while I'm talking about the shock mount being flexible on this, on the front, on the back, here's a standard shock mount. I don't know if you can see, I'll try. If you move the car up and down, the actual shock mount will move at the top before the shock even compresses. So, I don't know if I can get to it like this, can you see? At the top mount is moving without the shock even compressing. So I spent what I thought was quite a lot, which I think was about £18 for the Tamiya hop up, and that's includes this carbon fibre stay, the mount. You get the aluminium bushes, the bolts, and you get the spacers for the back there for the top wishbone mount. And that is solid. That doesn't move at all. The carbon fibre is really stiff, and I think that helps handling quite a bit. Another thing I've gone for on this is the prop shaft, the drive shaft there between the front and rear gearboxes. That was, I think, all in with the shaft itself and then the drive cups at each end. I think it was about £11 for the lot, and I think that's quite neat. It's very light. It's very strong, doesn't vibrate. For the money, I think it's well worth putting on there. The standard one, you can see, is a plastic unit. It does the job, but I think that smooths the car up quite a bit. The other thing you can see we've done on this one, there's a 21 turn. That's an atomic 21 double turn, running off the standard Tamiya ESC. And that improves performance quite a bit because it revs quite a bit higher than the standard torque tune that comes with it. I had one of those in this car for a while, but a friend of mine hopped his up to a brushless, and I thought, well, I really need to go with it, and I ordered this Trackstar 13.5 turn, which is a really good motor. It's a censored motor, works straight off the Tamiya ESC. It comes with a sensor cable, this one here, that you have to plug into the port there on the ESC, and there's a plug that goes into the motor there underneath. I don't know if you can just see that there. It won't run at all without that lead-in, so, and it does come with a motor. However, the motor doesn't come with any leads connected to it. It just comes with these spade connectors. So what I've done, because there's not a lot of room here in the car, it's a very short run from the ESC to the motor, I bought these bullet connectors. 3.5mm. You can see them there. They just plug in, and there's a spring on there, and it's a very tight fit. They work well. So what I did is I soldered those straight onto the mounts on the motor. And there's just, if I can just pull it there, pull off, you can see it's a really firm connection. Cut the original connectors off the ESC and soldered those on. And this kit actually came with the heat shrink as well, so that was a nice job. The car ran well with this motor in, but as with the other censored motors I've bought, it doesn't spin that fast. So I wasn't getting much more top speed. The acceleration was great, but not much more top speed. So I've changed out the standard, I think it's a 17 tooth pinion gear in there, to the highest I could go, which I think it's a 20 or a 21. Might be a 21, I think I've put in there. Yeah, loads more top speed, and it's pretty much the same acceleration. The car runs a lot quicker, and the battery lasts a lot longer than it did with the standard torque tune motor. So if you can afford it, I think this was about 30 quid. If you can afford it, it's a really good upgrade. The car will go a lot quicker. Okay, so there you go. That's what I've done to the Neo Scorcher. I hope you enjoyed it. See you soon.